3 o'clock? TikTok? Did the bird say, what is it, the little cuckoo bird? Did the cuckoo bird say cuckoo? Okay. I think we're ready. Bailey, do you have the other microphone? Awesome, good stuff, thank you. Oh, here we go. Good afternoon. Welcome. So thank you for being here. This seems like it might be just a little too loud. I think that's a little, no, it's okay? All right, perfect. Thank you for coming here today. As a reminder, we received a little bit of feedback relative to the last town hall meeting for those residents that either watch this recorded or watch it on the in-house TV channel. I will be asking, and I hope I remember, I will be asking, when you ask your questions, I'm going to repeat the question. So sometimes residents do not hear it clearly, so I'm going to do my best to mind myself to repeat the question so that it's clearer for those that listen. This could be the shortest presentation I've done since I've been here. I knew if I said that I'd have a couple people that would applaud. So thank you, Lori and Mr. Parker, I appreciate that. I was going through it. Not that you know me by now, I'm probably never at a lack of words, but I was just trying to put the high points in. So there'll probably be more questions relative to this because I'll probably zip through this a little bit quicker. So we're going to do our regular format, which is the resident council discussion from last Tuesday resident council's meeting, which was probably one of the shortest ones, notwithstanding some other discussion, but it was probably one of the shortest ones we've ever had. Bill's nodding his head. We'll do a couple quick little department updates. I'm going to go over this again, okay, because we're getting closer and closer to this kicking in. So we'll talk about the elevator modernization, and then we'll do a quick little Q&A session, question and answer session. So we got some feedback at the council that we're not always on top of the little doggy waste bags. So we're going to try to make a concentrated effort here of doing a little bit better job. Buildings 3 and 4 seem to be the areas that get depleted the quickest. So we're going to try to make sure that we're filling those back up quickly as possible. And notwithstanding, I think some of the receptacles need to be cleaned out more often. So we're going to work with our team on getting that done. And
Speaking of dogs,
what was that?
the phone.
Oh, was that a phone? I'm sorry. I thought there was literally a dog, and I was like, am I hearing things? Okay, that's awesome. So there's some irrigation areas around building 3 that we need to look at from a landscape standpoint that were brought forward. Trimming of the shrubs, we're going to talk to our landscape contractor, specifically a little less trimming when some of those flowers are in bloom. Some of the shrubs really bloom nicely, so we're going to work with them on not cutting every single nice flower that's on there. So those are some of the items that were brought forward. We got some feedback relative to staffing. We're going to talk to our staff about when they're on break, where can they take breaks. In the hot tub in the pool is not a good area to take those breaks. So we're going to review that. The day right now for landscaping is Friday. There was some question as to are they coming, when are they coming, do they change the dates? But the day right now should be Fridays that our landscape crew is here weekly. And then there was some feedback relative to some residents when you use the elevator, to some residents, and probably when they're transporting packages, have the habit of blocking the elevator on their floor. Okay, so we're just asking residents to be aware that the elevator should always be moving. So if you do have packages, let's say you take a cart up and you get to the second or third floor, you leave the elevator, you bring your packages, please don't stop the elevator or have somebody hold it in place. It needs to continue to move up and down, okay? So it's just a reminder for everyone. And then we're gonna look at some of the trees and some of the shrubbery along the east side of the campus relative to where Livingston is. So across from buildings 6 and 7, there's some areas there that need to be addressed. There was a question relative to the land that sits east of our community. So between Livingston and the actual fence line and the community, the community does own that land. So we own, basically our land continues, there's a swale. As you exit the community to Livingston, there's a swale there that goes down and then comes up to the, I believe, to the start of that swale. That's where the property line is. And then the rest would be managed by the county, right? That's a county road, so they would manage the rest. So they do actually, believe it or not, this is good information. They bother us now, the code compliance people bother us because it's unused land there, and they oblige us to cut the grass. We're obligated to do it if it can't get over 18 inches, basically, is the county code. So on occasion, you'll probably see someone in there cutting it. That's someone that we're basically hiring to cut the grass. Okay. So it was actually very short and sweet. There were not a lot of bullet points. There was some discussion about the Employee Appreciation Fund. I'm gonna talk just briefly about this, and then I'm gonna ask, and Bailey, if you could give the microphone to Mr. Hyatt. I'm gonna ask Bill Hyatt to come up and say a few words. But what the committee, so first off, what I'd just like to highlight is the Employee Appreciation Fund is a resident-based fund that is really, truly from A to Z managed and funded by the residents of the community. Okay, so myself as a representative of the ownership and the management team here, we don't manage this fund. Okay, it's not company-based, it's not relative to Discovery, it's really resident-based and resident managed from A to Z. We help a little bit with some information, but it's really managed by the residents. And then Bill can talk a little bit about this. They're gonna be looking at forming a committee to review the EAF, the Employee Appreciation Fund programming. They're gonna look at approximately 5 residents that would form that committee, really to try to get some different points of views and get more residents involved and talk about different initiatives that could help. If you're interested in being part of that committee, the ask is that you write your name, Employee Appreciation Fund Committee, your name on a slip of paper, and you place that in the suggestion box in your building. Those suggestion boxes are managed by the resident council, okay, not by the community. So if you're interested, please place your name in that box. And then the goal, as I said, is really trying just to make the fund better. Not to say it's not great already. The residents are very generous. You're very generous with your contributions, and the team members really appreciate them. But it's just looking for ways to do it a little bit better. Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. I'm not wired. Should be. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'll just try to be as brief as I can to tell you that over the last couple of months, when we've had the monthly meeting of the Residents Council, questions came up about the EAF, Employee Appreciation Fund, and it got to the point where we had a meeting of the council along with the lead ambassadors here last week. And let's just say that one of the suggestions come out of that was a lot of people believing that we should have a broader participation. I agree with that. Right now it's Ken Ruskin and myself. You've seen me presenting things about the program, and I do the flyers, and Ken does the banking. I think it's good from time to time to have new blood, and I think we ought to have more people. We have a culinary committee, an ambassadors group, and a resident council, and they're all broadly participated by residents from around the community. I'd like to see that happen to the EAF. And so, again, what we were just hearing, please put your name in if you think you would like to be involved. We'd like to have someone or people who have some financial experience, maybe worked in banking or whatever, to help us with that. I think a broader group can come up with some suggestions to improve the program. For instance, we've never collected any money in interest on what's in the bank. We have a free checking account, but I think the bank likes it because we don't get interest on it. And I think there are other things we could do with that. Yeah, I see the head shaking. Okay, enough of that. Thank you. I will just say on my pitchman's part, please give, if you will, if you want to, what you can to the Employee Appreciation Fund. We end our collections at the end of October, so we're in the final third of the year here. And, I talked to somebody the other day, and they said, well, I think I gave earlier in the year. Of course, we start collecting for a new year of giving on November 1st. So knowing that me and probably everybody else in here has forgotten something in the last few months, take a look back and please check to see if you've done what you wanted to. If you haven't and you want to give, please do give so we can see the smiling faces on the hourly employees up here again. And everyone again is welcome to sit in on that sometime in late November when the checks are handed to the employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Awesome. Hello. Okay, I'm going to fire this back to Bailey so I don't forget. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, celebrations, our activities department and our event planning. So a couple updates that we always like to share at the town hall meeting for the upcoming month. So July, I can't believe it's July already. July 4th next week. On Friday, July 5th, we will be hosting Collier County Emergency Individual Services that will be doing a presentation. So at 1 p.m. here in the multi-purpose room, right, Bailey? Yeah, so a week from this Friday. Is that right? Yeah, a week from this Friday. So please come and attend. Very informative session. Tuesday, July 9th, I learned this today. Did you know what day it is? It's Cow Appreciation Day. Go figure. I didn't know we had an appreciation day for the cows. Well, on that day to celebrate Cow Appreciation Day, we need everybody to be a cowboy or a cowgirl. So you're either in cowboy attire or cowgirl attire.
Are you going to be the cow?
I could be the cow. That's a good idea. And then we will be celebrating, it'll be starting at 4 p.m. in the tavern, and we'll actually have I believe we have live music, right, scheduled for the 9th. So Tuesday, July 9th. Mark that in your calendars, Cow Appreciation Day. Tuesday the 23rd is Our Ladies Tea Party in the tavern, so that will be happening a little bit later in the month. And then finally, we do a monthly chef demo with Chef Lee. That will be Thursday, the 25th at 2 p.m. in the dining room. So those are kind of the main events. I do want to take this moment to congratulate Bailey, who has accepted graciously to be the celebrations director, so director of celebrations. Congratulations. Bailey has been with us, as many of you know, for a couple years. She's an awesome young lady. I mentioned this to her the other day. I said, she's really grown in the time that she's been here. I remember her when I first met you, a little more timid and a little more shy, but she has grown into a fantastic team member. Very, very, very detailed oriented, very well organized, and open to any of your suggestions. Okay, so any feedback that you have, good, positive, constructive, it doesn't matter. She's always trying to work on programming. So she's our new director of celebrations. She's gonna continue to work on the programming that Jennifer put in place. I wanna thank Jennifer for her time here. She's done an awesome job in celebrations, but is moving on to her next challenge in the sales department. But I think we're really gonna see some good stuff from Bailey, so congratulations, good stuff. All right, concierge. So we're continuing to recruit to replace Christy. Does everybody know who Christy is?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, before I do that, actually, I need to remind everybody of this. So there was a document that was placed in the package of weekly update documents at the back of the package. Please, if you have one of those, it's a listing of names with phone numbers. Please discard it. Throw it out. There's numbers there that are more internal, not external, so it was a mistake to have it in that package, so I apologize for that. We've removed it from any other packages, but if you have one, if you could discard it, that would be great.
The whole package.
No, the last sheet,
Oh, the last sheet.
just the last sheet. There's a last sheet that's attached to it, just take that and discard it. The information is on the resident app. If you do not have the application or the app, you can have it on a mobile device, you can put it on a pad, you can actually have it on your computer. Bailey's your point of contact for that. All the information that you need as a resident will be found in that app, so please use that. If you don't have it, talk to Bailey about getting set up with that. And I do wanna thank Christy. Christy's here with us today, as always. She will be leaving us at the end of this week. Her last day will be Friday with the community. Christy has been with us for over 5 years working here at Aston Gardens. She has been an integral part of all sorts of different initiatives, obviously spearheading the resident services along with the concierge desks. We're gonna miss her. So I just wanted to share, best of luck in your next chapter. I hope Tennessee works out. There's probably a lot of cowboys and cowgirls in Tennessee. There's probably a big cow appreciation day in Tennessee. But we will miss her. So her last day, if you'd like to just wish her well, obviously you can do so here, but she'll be with us through Friday. And we continue, sorry, I talked at the beginning, we continue to recruit for her replacement. We're getting a little bit closer. For those of you that know me a little bit better, I wanna make sure that we hire someone who's gonna be a good fit from a resident perspective, but also a good fit from a team member perspective, right? We've kind of built our team up over the last couple of years, and we wanna make sure that we get someone who can fit well into that. So we're working on it. We're getting closer. Hopefully we'll have something for you soon. Elevator modernization, this is gonna be kind of the last piece for today. So we did receive the confirmation. The very first elevator that's slated to start is building 5. So I shared this information last time. Still on track to start on July 8th. So we actually got some confirmation today from our contractor. We're still moving forward with the exact same schedule. It's gonna take approximately 7 days. So if you remember correctly last time, we talked about starting on a Monday. We hope that that's back in service the following Monday, might even be in service over the weekend. We'll see how that goes, okay? And then we'll go from there to building 2, which will start on the 15th. Building 6 will go on the 22nd. And then building 7 will start on the 29th. These are the elevators that require the most attention through this modernization project, so they're the ones that are gonna take approximately the 7 days. If there are any delays, I'm sorry, we might need to tweak the schedule, but so far so good, okay? We'll see how that goes. The contractor does need to clear an inspection before, but because we have the dates lined up, they're already booking those inspectors to come to the community on the specific days. So, you know, we could even have the inspector here if we start on a Monday, we might have the inspector here on a Friday, right? Which would be awesome, so if we can clear that inspection, we might have that elevator up operating on the weekend. These are the 4 elevators that require the most. Buildings 3 and 4 remain, they require a little bit less. The 2 elevators in the assisted living are in the same category as the elevators in buildings 3 and 4, they require a little bit less. They will only be down for approximately 2 days. Right now, the contractor is telling us that they're gonna go through the July schedule, right? So remember I said the 8th, 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, and then following that, they're slated to do these 4 elevators, one after another. Okay, so approximately 2 days, which could take maybe 7 to 10 days. So first week, late first week or second week of August, we should be completely done with all of the elevators, which would be awesome. And I'll announce for 3 and 4 and the assisted living, I'll announce those in advance so you have a good idea. But right now, if you are in one of those buildings, you should be planning for late July, first week of August, okay? All right. We will have some accommodations in place, so a little extra staffing to help residents who are gonna navigate the stairs up and down. We'll be waiving any delivery or takeout charges through the time that it's out. We can help you navigate stairs. We did get a little chair. I thought I'd show this again for those of you that did not see this last time. Let's see, does this thing still work? Uh-oh, sinking. There you go. There's Brian. So it's actually, it works, it's electric, it has a battery, it's running itself up the stairs. So it's not something that you bounce up each stair. It has a piece on the back that allows you to smoothly bring it up each flight of stairs. And then there's also one here. Bring him down. There you go. He's waving. So we do have this in case of an emergency. Okay, this is not, and the emergency isn't, well, I want to go have my hair done, or I need to go to the dining room, okay? If something happens, if a resident wakes up one morning and says, hey, I really need to go see my doctor, or I need some sort of, I need help with something, we will be able to use this stair to navigate residents. The device to navigate residents. We will be having, actually, the fire department should be out here, I think it's gonna be next week, to make them aware of the outages so that they can navigate with their teams. And then if you do have any specific questions, just please email me directly and I'll do my best to get, those answers to you. All right, awesome. Okay, here we go. See how quick that was?
Yeah.
Surprised, aren't you?
Surprised.
See? All right. So Bailey, you're gonna run the mic. So we're gonna have Mary first. I'm gonna turn on maybe one more light. Let's see what this does. There we go. A little better.
I believe there was a discussion at the resident council about trimming hardwood trees. Is there an expectation that that will be done before hurricane?
So we have trimmed hardwood trees. We've done trees. I requested at the council that if there are trees that residents have, I'm supposed to repeat the question. Everybody at home. The question is, there was a conversation about the trimming of hardwood trees at the resident council. I believe I mentioned to the council that what I'd like is you can email me if there's a specific tree or area that you feel needs to be addressed. Send me that communication in an email, and I will follow up with our contractor. Okay? All right. Lynn.
I told you out in the hall that I was gonna do this.
Oh.
I went to Mark a couple of months ago and I talked to him about the vents in our dryers. And sure enough today, Building 2 began the cleaning of all the vents in our dryers. You won't believe when they pull it out what you're gonna have behind there. hasn't been done in years, and I wanna thank you very much. It's gonna make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. For residents at home, Lynn just mentioned that we started the cleaning of dryer vents in each one of the residential buildings. And we're gonna do all the buildings on the campus, so we're working our way around there. So please be patient. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but we are gonna address, we're gonna address those areas. Yeah, it's important, and you're right, it hasn't been done. I'm not quite sure when it was done last, so, thank you. Yeah, that's good, good stuff. Yep. Judy?
I was wondering if it's possible, perhaps to put it on the board where the food is, to have some kind of a message board where you could communicate with other residents as to things you might want to dispose of. Such, you know, I have a freestanding safe, which I'm not interested in keeping. Maybe somebody would be interested in it.
Is there anything in it?
So the question from Judy is there some sort of global message board that could be used for residents to communicate with other residents? And she used the example of a safe that she has that maybe another resident, she doesn't use, but another resident could use. Mr. Flagel might get it, specifically if there's any money in it, he will certainly grab it. So we do not presently have a message board. We do also have, for everybody's information, some pretty tight guidelines and policies through Discovery relative to advertising, public type communication. So we kind of shy away from people who want to sell things through the community. I've gotten sometimes requests of, hey, I want to get rid of, I don't know, something I have in my apartment. Is there a place that I can post that? I can either sell it or give it away. We do not do that, and we've got some pretty strict policies that stop us from doing that.
Well, this could be like a lost and found.
Yeah, so we have a lost and found, and we have lots of lost and found items in there. And you can check that through the concierge desk. We'll take that, we'll make a note of that, Judy. We'll look, there might be a way, and I'm just thinking here, and I don't know, Bailey, if you know this, but there might be a way of doing something with the app. So we'll look at that internally. There could be a way to have something that we could post on the application. So thank you for raising that. We'll have a look at it and see if there's something we can do there. That would be a good way to do it, because then residents who are interested can just go to it and consult the app, right? Those that are not interested, then they just, they don't have to look at it. But that's a good comment. All right, next question. I need to make a note because I'm not gonna remember.
To what extent was there damage?
Hang on, Mr. Bell, we're gonna give you the microphone, okay?
The last hurricane, to what extent was there damage here? The last hurricane, to what extent were the damages here?
So so the question is, the last hurricane that was here, which would have been Hurricane Ian, it happened in September of 2022. I believe it's gonna be 2 years already. September of 2022, there was very little damage, very minimal damage here at the community. I was here for that storm. Obviously some debris and some branches and some tree damage, but there was no significant damage to any of the buildings. We did not even lose power, just so you know. We retained our power. We did lose our Wi-Fi and cable for approximately 40 hours, I think it was. So that was traumatic. That was a disaster. Specifically, if I think about my kids losing their Wi-Fi is the end of the world. But that was really the only outage that we experienced in Ian. I was not here for Hurricane Irma, which happened in 17, I think it was, 17. I know several residents were, but what I've been told is there was more damage happened in Irma. And if you remember the trajectory of the storms, right? Ian kind of went a little bit, probably 25 miles north of us, was much, much worse than us. Irma actually initially, I remember it because I was on the East Coast, it was supposed to go right up the East Coast, and about 36 or 48 hours before it just blew up the Keys, and then it came right up the West Coast. So it was much more of a straight hit here. So there was more significant landscape damage, tree damage, there was some roof damage. Power outage, I don't know the duration, do you remember the duration?
About 4 days, because we were on the same grid as NCH North.
So the power was down for 4 days. Okay. So that's like a more of a direct hit, you know. But some of the infrastructure, that was 17, right? It was 7 years ago. Some of the infrastructure is a little bit better today. They get better with infrastructure every time there's a storm. So that gives you a sense. We're approximately 4 miles from the ocean, from the Gulf. So if you go kind of in a straight line, right, you went down Immokalee, we're about 4 miles. And the canal system that's really connected to the Gulf is approximately 1.5 miles from us. That's kind of the most eastern point of it, so we're a little bit outside of that. The construction of these buildings is pretty good. It's really good, lots of cement, very well built, good structure, so they tend to do well, you know, with high winds and those types of things. And then if there is a storm, we have staff that's here on site, and if we do have some sort of water infiltration, we are ready to potentially move people and do what we would call like a vertical evacuation, right? So we would take people from the ground floor and we would move them up a floor, right, to get them out of harm's way with water and that type of stuff. All right. So fingers crossed. We're gonna go Mrs. McGarrel.
I have a question regarding woodpeckers. And plug the holes that they're making.
Do you have a new pet?
I do, and he's
So
very annoying.
Mrs. McGarrow's question is relative to woodpeckers. So we have some woodpeckers that basically love poking holes in our buildings. It should be done shortly. I'm remiss to give you an exact date because we have someone who needs to come here and do that for us. We can't do it with our staff, but we'll be following up soon to get those holes fixed. Yeah, they like also the woodpeckers. There's a product that's used for some of the trim work on the building, and it's almost like a It's like a styrofoam. It's similar to a styrofoam, and they like that product for some crazy reason. But yes, we do need to get those. We do need to get those plugged. Believe it or not, it's sometimes if the woodpecker, and this has happened to us before, they're a protected species, and if they do lay eggs inside, you have to wait until it hatches and the actual woodpecker leaves. That becomes their habitat, but there's some stuff that can be done for that.
Well, I had birds that, they were mourning doves that nested in my home before I moved here under the portico. So it doesn't only apply to woodpeckers, any bird.
Any bird.
But once they build a nest, you cannot do anything.
Correct.
That's why I'm anxious, because my little friend hasn't built a nest yet.
Understood.
And I would love to have that because he pecks from the time the sun comes up till the time the sun goes down. Right outside my bedroom window and my porch.
Got it. You make a note. Have you named the woodpecker yet?
You don't wanna know the name.
Just go with Woody.
Woody.
I have a comment about palm rats. I had a problem with that this past winter, and some others did, for them eating wiring in our cars. Not an inexpensive problem. I said at the time, and have been told that this was sort of a wintertime thing, that the rats are trying to get in away from the cold and, the warmth of the engines. But I just heard yesterday a resident in Building 3 who has paved covered parking just had that happen to his car. And I don't know, Mark, about this, but the suggestion is that the trimming that had to be done to the palms may have taken away the homes for the palm rats and chased them down. And so I would just encourage you to be careful, be aware, there's all kind of products out there that you can spray inside the car, other type products that can keep the palm rats away from you. And by the way, there was a trap right there, Mark, so the trap's out in that one.
Okay, so.
I'm gonna spin off of that, just because I did research this. There are all kinds on Amazon specifically. There's not only sprays, but there's deterrent bags that you actually can have your mechanic hook up in your car in several different zones. They're very inexpensive, but I would say there's probably 10 different options that you can go in to find what will work for your car to deter all kinds of critters.
So just as a follow-up, we've talked a little bit about this, and I've shared this in previous town halls. So for those of you at home, the question is relative to some palm rats that have gotten into vehicles, and once they get into a vehicle, depending on where they get into, they can cause damage to wiring and those types of things. We've increased significantly the number of traps that we have outside around these specific areas. I would encourage a resident, if you have a situation, not that happened months ago, but that happened just this week or the past week, to let me know so we can look at our locations for trapping to make sure that we don't need to make any adjustments. So if there is a situation, please reach out to me directly, we'll address it. We've done that with residents in the past. We've been able to add some traps in some strategic locations, and believe me, it works. We catch them, many of them. Okay, so if there is, please, just please come and see me or reach out to me directly. Okay, any other questions? All right. Well, thank you once again. Thank you for attending, and look forward to smooth sailing with the elevators. Smooth sailing. And get rid of the woodpeckers. All right, thank you. Have an awesome day.